This class will deal with the sales cycle. The sales cycle identifies steps or phases that are required to make a product or a service sale. So when we think of making a purchase, in fact there are steps in making the purchase. There are different steps or phases that we go through before we make the purchase, particularly if the purchase is of a considerable sum. In other words, if it's quite pricey. We go through various steps. We don't, generally speaking, make impulse buying for large purchases. Generally speaking, we go through various steps, and this is what this particular class wants to look at. It's important for salespeople to identify the key stages involved in the sales cycle, because if they can identify where the customer has got to in the cycle, then they can intervene and offer support and help at key stages where the customer may in fact change his or her mind. So the sales staff may intervene and lead the customer on to the next step and into the final phase, which is the purchase phase. Understanding of the sales cycle helps salespeople and organizations to become more efficient and improve sales. So generally speaking, it's important for sales personnel to understand the sales cycle and then to be able to intervene if required and know what the next step is in the cycle, leading the customer on, as I said, towards the final phase, which is the purchase phase. So let's see what these various phases are. We could represent it in this type of diagram where we have at the top prospecting, then we have setting an appointment. We'll talk about these later. Then we have identifying needs, presentation, negotiation, closing, and after sales. So we've gone round in this cycle. We've started with prospecting, go all the way around to after sales, and after sales is the final stage, and then it goes on to a new product where we start prospecting again. Let's talk about these in a little more detail. We'll start with prospecting. The first stage in the sales cycle is to find and locate the right customers, the potential customers. So the sales team will want to find out who are the likely customers, where are they, and what are they like, for that matter. What are their characteristics or attributes? How much disposable income have they got? How do they live? Where do they work? What do they do? What is the general socio-economic background associated with these people? This is called prospecting. They're looking for something. It's like prospecting for gold. They're looking for customers in this case. They're prospecting customers. They're checking to see who are likely customers. A list of current or potential prospects allows salespeople to target the right customer group. So it's an expression in marketing. Should the marketing effort be a shotgun? Should it just shoot out and hope it hits the target? Or should it be a rifle, which is very specific? Well, if the prospecting has been done correctly, then the sales team can target precisely who are likely to be customers. So it's not going to dissipate its resources generally in the community trying to just attract people to purchase this product. It's going to focus in on who are the most likely customers and try to attract those in. So it's, in a sense, it's using a rifle. It's targeting specific customers because the prospecting has fed back this information. Now, prospecting, of course, may rely on market research and all of the research techniques that goes with marketing in general. But the idea is that they are prospecting. Market research must be carried out concerning potential customers. For example, information from shopping malls, restaurants, purchase research information from third party. So there are lots of sources that may be tapped into. They're not cheap, so they must be used sparingly. But there's the tension. If the company does not spend on it, then they're going to use up their marketing resources very quickly, perhaps targeting the wrong people. Whereas if they do spend, they have more chance perhaps in targeting the right people and getting customers, getting real customers in who will make purchases. And this is all part of the prospecting idea. The next one is setting appointments. If you look back on the diagram we had, the next one is setting appointments. Making contact with potential customers and making them aware of the product. So having discovered who the customers are likely to be, then contact them and make them aware of the product. Cold calling is the most successful approach to securing an appointment. But cold calling has its downsides, and its downsides have become more and more pronounced over the years. Now cold calling is seen as intrusive. Just to phone someone up, it's interrupting their lives. It's interrupting them perhaps at key stages. They may be at a meeting, or they may be at home. They may be watching a favourite television program. So cold calling may generate bad feelings towards the product. So care must be taken when we talk about cold calling. It has been used successfully, but it's not necessarily the best. It may be successful in many times, but it's not necessarily the best. Perhaps more subtle approaches, advertising or placing advertisements in appropriate magazines or publications, placing them on appropriate websites related to the product. Perhaps that approach would be more productive. Other methods of securing appointments include email, social media, mail, door-to-door visits, or visits in person. The door-to-door visit one is also not so popular nowadays. It's very expensive and it may not justify the expenditure. But certainly emails may be used. Again, it may have a bad press because to receive emails that are unwanted, they are classified as spam and they are not really condoned. So that again may generate bad feelings towards the product. But social media, placing an advertisement in a large social media platform may be successful. It may be that general advertising is quite successful. Identifying needs, qualifying. Well, ensure the salesperson understands the prospect's needs and has assessed their suitability. So it's important that the salesperson understands the prospect's needs. Now the prospect here is the potential buyer. So make sure that the salesperson understands the needs of the customer and has assessed their suitability. Otherwise, they may waste a lot of time dealing with a customer who's not going to purchase. For example, the salespeople must be trained and equipped with the right questions which will help them to gain information and assess the prospect's needs. So it's not a question of just trying out things on the day. This should be tried and rehearsed in advance. Possible questions worked out with responses clearly worked out as well. And the salesperson should have memorized these So if asked a particular question, they've got a quick and clear answer. So the salespeople should be trained and equipped with the right questions, which will help them to gain information about the possibility of a sale to that customer. The salespeople gain some information regarding the prospect during the setting appointment stage. Well, when the appointment is made, when the two are going to meet, then at that stage some information will have been picked up already, and this may help in identifying needs, may help in identifying the suitability of that person as a potential customer. Then the presentation. This stage involves the salesperson, I should say, representing their proposal to prospects during the appointment. So they're presenting the product. They're presenting the attributes and the benefits of the product. It's a presentation. They're talking about the product, how it works, what it does, how much it costs, the value for money, after sales. The talk is a selling talk. The presentation can be in the form of a presentation using projectors or computer. It could be leaflets, brochure, promotional reading material. It depends on the nature of the product. It may be the salesperson is simply chatting to the customer at a counter in a departmental store, and just uses some leaflets and some brochures to talk about. It could be it's a much more elaborate product, and the sales personnel would then present computer graphics or a video showing how the product is used, what it does, what are its advantages. So the presentation may use different types of media to portray the product. The presentation must be appropriate for the intended audience and keep potential customers engaged and keen to move on to the next stage of the sales cycle. The presentation should not be boring. It should not be boring, and it should not be too long. It should be to the point, it should be clear, it should be colourful, it should be engaging. But it should not be too long, and it should not put off the customer from buying. So it should be tested in advance. Now the negotiation. Well, this stage is key. If the prospect is engaging in negotiation tactics, then they are keen to progress to the close and close the sale. So if they are negotiating, it means they want the product. So that's a good sign. If after the presentation the customer or the prospect then starts to engage in negotiations, tries to get a better price or a discount or get some special term, it means the person is interested in the product. They want it. And that's a good signal to the sales personnel. As a salesperson, it's important to negotiate a deal that will benefit both the prospect and the organization. So the salesperson will want to make the sale. So the salesperson should have some latitude about the terms and conditions and the price and so on, so that they're able to negotiate. Clearly they want to get as much as possible for the organization and presumably for their bonus as well. But on the other hand, they don't want to lose the sale. So the negotiations require special skills. Skills on both sides, both the customer and the seller, the salesperson. During this stage, Discuss with the client their needs and show the client that you are willing to cooperate. It's important that the client feels that the salesperson really wants to make the sale. On the other hand, that openness, that willingness to make the sale may be seen as a weakness, so that they're trying to negotiate even better terms. So there's a balance to be struck about how the salesperson presents him or herself. But really it's very difficult to go further than this, other than to say that it really does depend on the skills of the two sides as to what the final outcome will be. Closing. Well, this stage closes the deal and confirms the sale, either through purchase, signing terms and conditions agreements. So the closing part is making the sale. It means writing up the terms of the sale, taking a deposit perhaps, or taking full payment for the product. The sale is completed, and this is the closing stage. A prospect will only make a purchase if they are satisfied with the sales cycle, negotiations, and if the salesperson is able to answer all their questions. If a prospect feels that they haven't been dealt with honestly or openly, they won't make the purchase. If the prospect believes that some of the answers were not convincing, they won't make the purchase. So it's important that in the mind of the prospect, in the mind of the purchaser, that they have clarity about the product, and they feel that the whole exercise, right from start to finish, has been professional, well done, open, honest. If they feel this, then they will make the purchase. This stage does not guarantee a closed deal. The prospect can still change their mind. So it depends on the legal conditions pertaining in the country. They may have a cooling off period, in which case they're able to take the product back and ask for their money back. They may have certain terms in the sales agreement which enables them to back out of the agreement at any stage up to a certain period of time. But that's the closing stage. Then we have the after sales service. This stage is concerned with key account management and maintaining customer relationships. After sales service is really marketing. It's ensuring that the customer has had a good experience. It's ensuring that the customer will return and hold the institution, the business, the shop, whatever it is, will hold it in high esteem and recommend it to his or her friends. So after sales service is important. It's the follow-up, and it tries to engender customer loyalty towards the organization. Ensure customers are satisfied with the deal and product or service. So the after sales service may also pick up data about the experiences that the customer has had with the product, which may feed back into design issues and further improvements in the future, innovations which may come to the product in the future as a consequence of these comments. So after sales is not just building up goodwill towards the institution, towards the shop or the business, but it's also collecting information from the customer regarding the usage of the product, which can then be fed back into future versions of that product. Contact the client to ask for feedback and improvements on products and the sales process. So it's just simply a question of perhaps contacting the customer, contacting the client and asking him or her for their overall comments and have some specific comments. Bearing in mind that this contact, if it's unwarranted, may also be seen as intrusive and time consuming. The customer may think that they're not prepared to spend their time helping a business to sort out its product line. They want to enjoy life. They want to have time to themselves. They don't want to spend a long time answering questionnaires. So these are the after sales points. So now we've got an idea of what's involved in the sales cycle. We've seen the various headings and it's taken us right round the diagram we saw earlier. But that's all we're going to deal with in this session, so let's leave it at that and say thank you for watching.